Hi and welcome to Ivy English. I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today it is the 4th of June. We're on page 15 of the magazine. And today we're discussing the return of the conversation pit. And you're like, the return of the what?
那我们的中文标题是50年代对话坑复刻回潮那 conversation pit 这个就是我们的主要讲的叫对话坑，那是一个 pit 就是一个坑。那什么叫对话坑呢？等一下我们在文章里面它会让我们了解。
Yeah, so let's read the article so you guys can sort of figure out what the heck is a conversation pit, and then we'll go around to talking about it in a detailed manner. So, whether it is gathering around a warm campfire or a festive holiday feast, people throughout history have enjoyed coming together in groups to socialize and engage in conversation. Perhaps the most comfortable setting in which to enjoy this age-old pastime is known as the conversation pit, a sunken, rectangular section of floor lined with comfy sofas on which people can lounge, play board games, and shoot the breeze. The conversation pit's early origins can be traced back to the ancient Chinese kang, a communal seating area containing a fire to keep its occupants warm. A similar concept, the estrado, was a common feature of Spanish castles during medieval times. Inspired by these designs, Finnish-American architect Eero Saarinen, along with American interior decorator Alexander Girard, began installing conversation pits in American houses in the early 1950s. Within a few years, conversation pits could be found in homes throughout the world, and their popularity would continue until the 1970s. Around this time, people began viewing conversation pits as impractical and somewhat dangerous, mainly due to homeowners and their guests accidentally falling into the pit. Ultimately, most people filled their conversation pits with cement, covered them with a carpet, and moved on from what would later be viewed as an odd fad. In recent years, however, conversation pits have enjoyed somewhat of a comeback, both inside and outside people's homes. While some have been designed with movie viewing or virtual reality in mind, others have been built alongside or even inside swimming pools, as well as encircling outdoor fire pits. While it's still unclear as to whether conversation pits will stick around this time, they are certainly a great option for those wishing to put down their cell phones and enjoy a good-natured chat. I'm just thinking that whenever somebody talks about putting down their cell phones, they're guaranteed to be over 30.
Yeah. 小老师说，如果有人讲说他要把这个手机先放在一边，那这个人一定超过30岁。
I don't know for sure.
Yeah,
but I'm guessing.
这是他自己的一个小小心得啦。Yeah.
Okay.
因为大概年轻人大概很难这个脱离手机了。现在。
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but it's not like that. It's not like that. It's not a hit on young people. What it is older people remember a time without cell phones, and they're nostalgic for it.
Oh, okay.
And it's,
Yeah.
And so younger people won't think about it because it's been present to them their whole lives.
Yeah. 那这不刚刚 Angela 老师他的意思其实是说，这个30岁以上的人呢，可能还记得没有手机的时代所以有的时候他们可能会怀旧一下这个，所以把这个手机先放一边那但是30岁以下的人，他们从小到大就跟手机已经很习惯相处了，所以比较不会说把手机放在一边那像我的话，我是这个 well above 30所以呢，我其实蛮喜欢把手机放一边，不要管它的。
Yeah.
Yeah, 那感觉蛮舒服的，就是你不必被手机绑着。
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the real generation gap right now.
I know.
But yeah. So getting back to conversation pits. I was architecture and I love interior design. And so conversation pits are a thing that have always fascinated me. Especially that they went out of fashion in the 70s. Kind of interests me. And I don't know why, but I'm sad about it because I think conversation pits are awesome.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
所以这个Angela 老师呢，其实可能很多人不知道他是一个建筑师那他也做室内设计所以他对这个conversation pit 这个非常有兴趣啊，他觉得这个设计很棒啊，但是在70年代的时候，突然之间这个就不流行了啊，他觉得蛮可惜的，因为他觉得这个 idea 非常的好。
Yeah, but it's impractical in apartment buildings.
Oh, yeah.
Because literally the conversation pit goes below the floor. So you either have to build your floor up, like a tatami room, which is fine, or you have to put your floor down.But either way, you kind of lose ceiling height or you interfere with your neighbors. And so structurally, they're not that easy to do.
Yeah, 不过在公寓房子或者大厦里面比较难做这个conversation pit 啊，因为它是要这个往下陷的嘛，所以要么你就要把地板垫高哈，那要么就要这个在你如果注意的话往下挖等等的，所以在公寓大厦比较不容易做到这样的事情。
So our first paragraph to the story says, whether it is gathering around a warm campfire,or a festive holiday feast, people throughout history have enjoyed coming together in groups to socialize and engage in conversation. So this pattern that's underlined here is whether or, whether and or. So whether it's A or B, people like doing this thing. So it always is whether it's. Whether it is doing A or whether it is doing B, people like to do certain things. But the second doing, you don't have to say.Sometimes. It really depends. It could be verb, or it could be comparing a noun and a noun. So whether it is hot or cold, we still like to go outside. Whether it is gathering around a campfire or a festive holiday feast, gathering around a festive holiday feast, people throughout history like to get together.
好，所以这里看到呢，这个首先注意到这个结构是 whether or 啊，就是这个不管是 A 还是 B，whether A or B 好，那刚这个 A 跟 B 呢，如果这个 A 后面有一个动词的话呢 ，B 后面不一定要有动词哈。例如说 whether it is hot， 然后呢 or cold， 你不必说 whether it is hot or it is cold， 那个 it is 就不用再重复了啊。那在这里这个 whether A and B， 这个 A 是 it is gathering around a warm campfire， 就是 gathering 就是聚集啊，这个不管你是围着一个温暖的萤火 a warm campfire 啊，然后聚集围绕着一个温暖的萤火啊，不管你是这样子，还是说是一个 a festive holiday feast 啊 ，holiday feast 就是一个假日的一个欢宴啊，这个大餐，节日的大餐。那 festive 这个字呢，它有两个意思，一个是跟 festival 跟节庆有关的，叫做 festive；另外一个 festive 的意思就是 joyous 啊 ，merry 啊，很快乐、很欢乐的。所以不管你是围着一个萤火，还是说这个假日的时候呢，大家吃个大餐啊，很欢乐的吃个大餐，不管是怎么样啊，那 people throughout history 就是。Throughout history 就是从古至今啊，或者是有史以来啊，从古至今人们都非常喜欢 enjoyed。People have enjoyed 怎么样呢？喜欢什么呢？喜欢 coming together in groups， 就是这个是 coming together in groups， 就是前面的那个 gathering 一样的意思啊。人们喜欢聚集在一起来 socialize， 就是社交啊。然后呢，这个。同时 engage in conversation 啊 engage in 就是参与的意思，那 conversation 是对话，所以 engage in conversation 就是参与对话，也就是聊天的意思。这个 engage in 就是 participate in 的意思。
And so perhaps the most comfortable setting, the best way you can enjoy this age-old pastime, this very ancient pastime of conversation, the best way to do it is in the conversation pit.And here the conversation pit is described as a sunken, which means below the ground, rectangular, which means square or anyways with corners, section of floor. Now, it doesn't have to be rectangular. In fact, a lot of them were like weird ovals and circles as well. So it's just a sunken section of floor of some kind of shape.And it's lined with comfy sofas. There's usually like a staircase down in one or two places, but the rest of the edge of the pit is one giant sofa. So basically, it's a sofa pit.
Yeah.
And it's a great place where you can lounge. Lounge means like lie back. You're not sitting properly. You got your feet up. You're relaxed. You can play board games.Or video games, and shoot the breeze. To shoot the breeze means to talk with somebody. It's another way of saying to have a conversation, but it usually means a relaxed, casual conversation.
Yeah, you're talking about unimportant things.
Yes.
Yeah, 所以这个 shoot the breeze, 它就是闲聊的意思啊，就是一个 informal, 一个非正式的 conversation. 那谈的通常都是 unimportant things, 不重要的事情。 好，我们再回来看看这个句子开头，他说也许 the most comfortable sitting comfortable 舒服 setting 就是一个场景一个环境那个一个 environment 或者是一个 context in which something is set 就是一个 setting， 所以最舒服的一个环境呢 in which 就在这个环境里面你可以 enjoy 享受这一个 age-old pastime， 这个古老的消遣也就是聊天，那这个古老的消遣。好，那这个 age-old那这个 age-old 是什么呢？它意思就是很古老的意思，它的意思这个就是belonging to 或者是 lasting from times long ago， 那 age-old， 那 pastime 就是一个消遣所以你要享受这种古老的消遣活动呢，最适合最舒服的一个环境呢 is known as 就是为人所知，就是我们知道或者是我们这样称它，称之为什么呢？我们称之为 the conversation pit 就是对话坑。那这是什么呢？一个 dash 继续解释，它是一个 sunken 就是一个凹陷的沉下去，一个凹陷的，一个 rectangular 是四方形的但是刚刚这个 Angel 老师讲说不一定是四方形的，有的时候是不规则形状，有的时候是 oval 可能是椭圆形的等等的。好，这是一个这个下沉的一个 section of floor， 就地板中间有一个下沉的一个区块。那这个区块怎么样 ？Lined with 就是边上有什么边上有什么东西 ？Lined with 例如说你可以讲 The street was lined with small shops 这个街道两边就是边上有着一些小商店所以 lined with。那这个对话坑呢，边上有着 comfy 这个字是 informal 的一个字，它就是 comfortable 的意思所以这个边上有着很舒服的沙发 ，on which 就是指这个沙发。在沙发上呢，人们可以 lounge 就是很舒服的坐或者是靠to sit or lie back 或者是比较正式的一个叫 recline 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 就是这个舒服的靠着然后呢，你也可以在这里 play board games， 你也可以玩桌游，然后可以 shoot the breeze， 可以聊天。
Now, the conversation pit's early origins can be traced back to the ancient Chinese kang. And the kang was a communal seating area containing a fire to keep its occupants warm. And I don't actually agree with this because I feel like a kang is the opposite of a conversation pit. A kang is like a raised platform that has the heat of the fire is there's a tunnel under the platform that the smoke from the fire is trained through so that the heat from the fire goes through the platform, which warms it up. But there's like the main difference between a kang and a conversation pit is that a kang sticks up and a conversation pit goes in. Like kang is up and conversation pit is down. So, but they're both about sitting around and keeping warm. So in that sense, yeah, they are similar.
好，所以呢，这句话讲到说，这个对话坑呢，它的 early origins， 它早期的起源 can be traced back to， 可以被追溯到。那追溯到什么时候呢？追溯到古老的中国的炕就是一个火旁边一个不亢不卑那个炕中国的炕。那什么叫炕呢？他说是一个 communal 就是 shared by a group of people 那是一群人，通常是这个住在一起，公共的叫communal 一个 seating area 一个座位区然后呢这个座位区有一个 containing a fire 有一把火然后呢这个它可以 keep its occupants warm 可以使这 occupants 就是使用人使用这个区域的人可以让他们 keep them warm 让他们保持温暖那不过这个 Angel 讲到说不过基本上炕它应该是一个高起来的东西像这个小时候我听到人家讲这个东北人睡那个炕就是那个床就是一个炕所以那个是高起来的，然后在床底下会有火这样子可以让他们晚上可以保暖所以大概基本上炕应该是高起来的。那这个我们讲的 conversation pit 它是凹下去的，不过也许有高的地方就会有低的地方嘛所以也许这个两个概念基本上还是相通的。
A much closer thing would be the estrado in Spanish castles, which basically were like a conversation pit, but on sort of a level floor. Yeah. But those guys were influenced by Arab Arabic culture, which also have basically like a flat area with carpet around it, surrounded Persian culture, which has a flat area of carpet with cushions around the edge, and the whole room is basically a giant sofa. So that's the estrado.
好，所以呢，这个地方我们讲到说 a similar concept 啊，一个类似的一个概念，叫做 the estrado， 这个就是西班牙的一种这个概念哈。那他说这是一个 common feature of Spanish castles， 这是一个西班牙的城堡的常见的一个 feature， 一个特色。好，那这个其实也就是一个沙发区啦，哈，那个 estrado 啊。然后呢，这个During medieval times， 这个是在中世纪的时候常常看到的，这个西班牙城堡会这样设计，这概念很接近。不过他们大概差别是他没有往下拉，没有说把这个地往下挖，他只是说这个四周沙发围着一个区域，大家可以聊天这样。啊，那刚刚 Angela 老师都有讲到说，这个西班牙这种 estrado 这个概念呢，可能是来自于阿拉伯的这个建筑概念啊，那或者是这个波斯的一种文化啊，所以他们事实上我在也看过这个旅游节目，他介绍就在阿拉伯波斯那边啊，那个我那时候就觉得很奇怪，他们的客厅，你一进去那个客厅，所谓的客厅，它的沙发是围着那个墙放的啊，这围成一圈这样子啊，我是觉得这好特别哦，原来这个是他们一种特色啊。那差别是中间他们不是放火，他们中间放的是地毯啊，而且他们不是往下挖的。
Basically, yeah. And so, inspired by these designs, see, the article says that he's inspired by these designs, and he's a Finnish-American architect named Eero Saarinen. And Eero Saarinen is basically really responsible for a lot of the modernism of the 50s. Like, anytime you think of, like, really modern 50s design, what you're thinking of is an Eero Saarinen building. I encourage you to just put his name in Google and look at all the buildings, because you just look at it and you're like, oh, this is classic modernism feeling. It's beautiful. It's very futuristic. So this guy, along with American interior decorator Alexander Gerard, they began installing conversation pits in American houses in the early 1950s. And they may well have been inspired by the Kang and by the estrado, but I want to argue that they're also inspired by something that you do in Scandinavia, which is if you're outdoors and you want to build a fire, but basically the ground is covered by, several feet of snow, you dig down through the snow till you get to the ground so you can build your fire on the ground, and then you carve the snowbanks around that fire into sofas and put like warm quilts on top of it, and then you can sit there and cook your food in basically a conversation pit made out of snow. And I think and so this is, sofas surrounding a fire in the outside landscape, and going down into the snow means you're out of the wind and it's warmer. So this is where a conversation pit makes the most sense in a snowy landscape. And Saarinen, being from Finland, he would have known about these things. So I honestly think that this is like the actual origin of the conversation pit.
好，所以呢，我们先看这个句子哈。他说呢 ，inspired by these designs， inspired by 就是从什么什么获得的灵感。好，那是这个谁获得的灵感呢？是主要子句的这个主词，就是这个一个芬兰裔的美国建筑师哈，叫做这个Eero Saarinen 啊，他呢这个是获得了灵感。那还有除了他之外，还有另外一个人 ，along with 啊一个美国的室内装潢的装修师啊 ，interior decorator 啊，他事实上应该就是室内设计师了哈。那 Alexander 这个 Gerard， 那这两个人呢，他们受到了这个西班牙的 estrado 得到的灵感，他们就开始 began installing 就是设置啊 ，to set up for use 啊，就是装置让你使用啊，他们开始设置了这 conversation pits。In American houses， 在美国的这个家庭里面，他们就开始设计的这种 conversation pits 啊，是在1950年代早期啊。那刚刚 Angela 老师，因为他是这一方面的这个专家，他就说，这个其实1950年代你想到那种什么美国的建筑风格，很多大概都是这个跟这个Saarinen 有关系的。
Yeah. So after the 50s, within a few years, conversation pits could be found in homes throughout the world. People were like, ooh, this is the new modern way to make your living room. And so they would do it. And their popularity, the popularity of conversation pits would continue until the 1970s. And I grew up in the 70s, so I was aware of conversation pits as a thing, although nobody I knew personally had one, but you could see it on TV and things.
好，所以 within a few years 几年之内，这个对话坑呢 could be found 可以被找，可以被看到 in homes throughout the world。所以很快不只是美国，全世界啊，因为大家觉得美国就是流行啊，他们大家也想跟着学啊，所以全世界都有了。然后他们的 popularity 就是 the state of being popular， 他们受欢迎的这个状态呢 would continue 啊，他从过去的这个角度来看，往未来看，所以用 would continue， 他受欢迎的程度会一直持续到1970年代。
But 1970s style had a very particular quality to it that after a while, people, I think, got tired of feeling modern and they wanted to go back to feeling traditional. So in the 80s, at least in America, everyone went back to looking very traditional in some sort of way. And so 70s style really went out of fashion. So that's when conversation pits also kind of got the kibosh. So around this time, people began viewing conversation pits as impractical. First, they cost money to build. You had to mess with your floor. And they were also seen as somewhat dangerous, mainly due to homeowners and their guests accidentally falling into the pit because it's a hole in your floor. Even if it's lined with sofas, if you're not careful, you can trip and fall in.
好，所以 around this time 就这个大概在70年代晚期之后呢，那因为刚刚 Angela 讲这个70年代很多东西都很现代，那后来久了之后，大家觉得想要回归那种传统一点的感觉，所以大概这个开始流行改变了。所以大概在这段时间呢，人们开始 viewing conversation pits as impractical。to view A as B 就是把 A 看成 B 就把它想成是 B 你也可以说 seeing A as B 或者 regarding 都可以所以他们开始觉得这个对话坑是 impractical 就是不实用，而且呢有一点点 somewhat dangerous 有一点危险主要是因为 the house owners 这些屋主还有他们的客人会 accidentally 会有时候会意外的会掉进那个坑因为毕竟那个坑是没有栏杆的，那在地板中间一个地方凹下去，你走过去的时候，就算你知道那里有个坑，就算那里有沙发，你有时候还会不小心会这个掉下去。
But I mean, people have home accidents all the time. I don't think it was necessarily conversation pits' fault. But anyways, ultimately, most people filled their conversation pits with cement. You're talking about people who own individual houses, you know. They filled them with cement, they covered them with a carpet, put in some sofas, and moved on from what would be later viewed as an odd fad. A fad is like a short-lived fashion.
所以 a fad 就是只是通常是很短暂的一时的一个流行或者风潮，那是一个 fad 那 ultimately 这个句子一开始 ultimately 就是 in the end eventually 所以到最后呢，人们的 filled 就填满或者填平他们的这个对话坑，用什么填呢 with cement 用水泥把它填平，然后 covered them with a carpet 然后上面盖上地毯，然后 moved on 就是这个再继续前进了就把这种东西怎么样 leave behind 继续前进从哪里前进呢 from what would later be viewed as an odd fad 这个 what would later be viewed as an odd fad 指的就是对话坑，所以他们把对话坑放在这个抛诸脑后了，继续往前进了。那这个 what would later be viewed as 这个 what 就是 the thing that 的意思就指的就是对话坑，这个对话坑 would later 后来会 be viewed as 会被视为一个 odd fad。
Now, in recent years, however, conversation pits have enjoyed somewhat of a comeback, both inside and outside people's homes. Somewhat of is basically a fancy way of saying a little or a minor comeback. So like
something of,
something of a comeback. It's like it's not a big comeback, it's kind of a comeback. It's the fancier, it's the more like elegant way of saying a kind of have come back. So they've enjoyed somewhat of a comeback, both inside and outside people's homes.
好，所以近几年来呢，这个对话坑他 enjoy 他有或他享受到了可以算是 somewhat of 就是 something of， 也可以说可以算是的意思可以算是一个 comeback 一个这个回归这个复刻回潮不管是在人的家里面还是在人的家的外面所以有的时候是室内，有时候是室外。
Well, some have been designed with movie viewing or virtual reality in mind, some of these conversation pits. Others have been built alongside swimming pools or even inside swimming pools, as well as encircling outdoor fire pits.
好，然后呢 while some 有一些 have been designed 被设计的时候是 with something in mind 啊，就是考量到，所以它考量到什么东西来设计呢？考量到要看电影啊，或者是 virtual reality 啊，或者是这个虚拟实境啊，所以他们会设计的时候把这个想在心里面啊，放在心里面。那另外一些呢是 have been built 怎么样 alongside 就是靠着啊，就是 near at or to the side 啊，靠着，或者甚至于是 inside， 甚至于在什么之内，在游泳池之内，所以他们可能游泳池边可能会有一个 conversation pit， 甚至有时候是在游泳池里面，他就设计一个 conversation pit。好 ，as well as 还有是怎么样？也有可能是 encircling， 就是围绕着 outdoor 户外的 fire pits 火坑。
Well, it's still unclear as to whether conversation pits will stick around this time. Why do we underline whether? There's no or here. But that's the thing is that here we put or not at the end of this time, but we kind of just left it off. We know that or not is coming, so we don't need to say it. Originally, you could say, while it's still unclear as to whether conversation pits will stick around this time or not, they are certainly a great option. But you don't need to say the or not. Everyone knows. So it's unclear as to whether conversations will stick around this time. They are certainly a great option for those wishing to put down their cell phones and enjoy a good-natured chat.
好 ，it's still unclear， 这个事情还是不清楚的，我们还不确定。As to 就是 about， 关于什么事情我们不确定呢 ？Whether conversation pits will stick around，stick around 就是留下来，停留下来，就是它不会再消失。This time， 因为这已经是这个之前消失过一次，这一次回来了，所以这一次它会不会这个继续留下来，我们还不清楚。好，那这个 whether 这个地方后面没有 or 了，但是事实上是省略掉了，省略掉一个 or not 啊 ，whether 怎么样 or not 啊，不管是不是这样子啊，那 or not 就把它省略掉了。无论它这次会不会留下来，他们绝对是一个 great option， 是个很好的选择。For 对于 those people who are 对于那些想要把手机放下来，然后呢享受一个 good-natured chat， 就是一个很 easy-going、cheerful 的一个 chat 的一个人啊，那这个 conversation pit 还是不错的。
Okay, we have some questions here for you. Number one is, what is the second paragraph mainly about?
第二段的主旨是什么呢？
The answer is B, the origin and history of conversation pits.
答案是 B， 对话坑的起源和历史。
And the number two is, where would you most likely find this passage?
好，你最有可能在什么地方发现本文呢？
The answer is A, in a blog about home architecture.
答案是 A， 好，在一个关于居家建筑设计的部落格。
And number three, according to the passage, how long did conversation pits remain popular during the 20th century?
根据本文，对话坑在20世纪的时候呢，持续流行了多久呢？
The answer is D, around 2 decades.
答案是 D， 大概20年左右。
And number four, which of the following pictures best fits the concept of a conversation pit according to the passage?
根据本文，以下哪一张图最符合对话坑的概念呢？
The answer is A. You see a living room with a giant square hole in it. Yep, conversation pit.
Yep， 答案是 A。
Okay, that is all we have for you about this fascinating architectural phenomenon, and we'll see you again tomorrow for more Ivy English. Until then,